It is so great to be with you again, and most importantly, with him again. Hi, how are you? It's the Draft Show here on Woodward Sports. So let's try to go over the last few weeks because we've had a lot of people, Scott, on social media ask, okay? So I'm going to try to go in succession of what's been going on the last 3 weeks. And unfortunately for him, it's 100% my fault. Had an overdue vacation that I went on. Had COVID, which was just a blast, and then my father passed away. How have you guys been? Everything all right?
Quality run for you.
It's been a good last few weeks. No, mercifully, my father passed away. He had been sick for a long, long time. You know that, Scott.
Yeah.
And I'm certainly not making light of that. I don't want anybody to think that. I love my dad. I'll love him till the day I die. But we are also very happy that he is in a better place right now. But now to the subject at hand. As we tape this right now, we are only a week away from the draft, Scott.
A week away.
Didn't it sneak up?
Nope.
It snuck. No, it didn't
Nope.
for you. Did for me this year.
Nope.
I don't know. Maybe it's because I've had quite the adventure the last 3 weeks. But it's like I told our buddy Art here at Woodward Sports a few days ago. I was like, wait, the draft's in 9 days, and I can't get enough. I've been doing my mock simulators on Pro Football Network and everything.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting about that? Now, hear me out, and you can yell at me if you want.
No yelling.
Okay. Are people like me, real mockaholics? Are we obsessive about this? Yes. But what's interesting to me, I'm a read the algorithm guy, right? I'm a read the algorithm guy. I probably did just last night, and I recommend you try it. ProFootballNetwork.com. You can. It's great. It's the best one out there.
Yes.
I kept getting similar offers from the same teams over and over and over for the 7th pick overall. And let me just very quickly, for the benefit of our audience out there, I would say if I did 50 mock drafts last night, I would say 47 of them had an offer from the Cardinals to move down to 16.
Carried the one. 94%.
Yeah. I would say that 40 of them had a deal from the Chargers to move to 13, which is about 80%. Every single one.
You're good with the math.
Every single one had the Tennessee Titans making me an offer. And it was a various offer. Now, 23 is something different. To move from 7 to 23, you better give me a lot in return. But as I showed you, even before we started taping this, their first, their second, their third. Oh, by the way, wait, there's more. Their second and their fourth next year.
So that makes me wonder, and we don't know, you probably know, who was coming off the board, but I would imagine they're coming up for corner, jumping in front of Carolina, who might take corner, and Dallas, who might take said corner.
They had Patrick Surtain, for what it's worth, junior.
That's a lot to give up for a corner. I'm not saying that it's unrealistic, but that's a lot to give up for a corner.
But you told
23.
You told me something very interesting about this because you actually know the guy who runs this and everything, and he's connected. Is that safe?
Very much
safe
so.
to say?
Yeah. So when you hear a rumor like the rumors that the Chargers are talking to Detroit is legit. The Cardinals talking to Detroit now for different players, but that's getting input into their system. And you mentioned the algorithm, and there's a desire for those teams to come up for certain players who are on the board. So with the Chargers, it's Penei Sewell. With the Cardinals, it's Jalen Waddle. That's the two players that, if you're a Lions fan and you're looking for a trade down scenario for Detroit, you want there to be you want next Thursday the situation when the Lions come on the board at pick 7. You want Penei Sewell available, and you want Jalen Waddle available. That opens the door to a trade down, which is a great scenario for Detroit. But selecting one of those two players is also a great scenario for Detroit. So in that regard, do you want to – I mean, if you knew you were getting a future first in a deal with the Chargers or a deal with Arizona, and I firmly believe that you would say yes, please, for a rebuilding team. But if the Lions came out after they made the pick at pick 7 and told us all that, hey, listen, we had Penny Sewell as the best player, the best non-quarterback in the draft, and there's just no way we could pass him up for what we think his long-term upside is, I think we would all say okay. If they say similar things about Jalen Waddle, that for us and for Jared Goff, he was our number one weapon for what we considered our quarterback needs, and we just couldn't pass him up, I think we would all say okay, it makes sense. But getting future first puts them in the position to do just about whatever they want next year.
I'm going to call myself out. Sometimes I get snobby when we have these conversations, and my friend knows this. And sometimes I like to get on my soapbox and say the one thing that you have to remember every single year, okay? And it'll happen next year too, because I've already heard people say, man, the quarterback class next year isn't good. It will reveal itself. These are probably the same people that didn't know that Zach Wilson existed a year ago.
Well, it may not be 4 or 5 deep next year.
It might not be 4 or 5, but there are going to be quarterbacks going high next year. Mark my words on it, okay? It might not be as deep as this class, but they're still going to go high. They'll reveal themselves. The flip side to that is, Scott, okay, and this is where I'm going to call myself out. If you told me, for example, the last time that you and I did one of these shows, if you told me Penny Sewell's going to be there at 7, I would have said you were nuts, and I probably wouldn't have paid attention to anything that you said from that point on.
We talked about it a while back, and it felt like a desperate grab at, hey, let's throw a name out there who will not be available.
Yeah.
But in some of the discussions I'm having with some, not a lot of people, but some people, it sounds like the Bengals have a different player listed as offensive tackle 1.
Rashawn Slater.
Now that's situational. That's more about what they have in house.
Mm-hmm.
Jonah Williams is left tackle. Don't want to move him to right tackle. Rashawn Slater is, this is a very technically savvy player. He moves his feet really well. I don't understand this part of it. There's a desire to call him a safe player because if he fails as a tackle, he'll work as a guard. But if you watch him play, some of his issues are power driven. So throwing a guy who I got to rephrase that. He is a very strong player, right? His issues are how quick power comes to him. So if you watch him play, you'll see him lock down Chase Young in 2019. That's more speed. That's more, the quickness and speed outside. Slater's good there. Where he struggles at times is when a player wants to cross his face. Or bull rush. He'll give up his chest, doesn't have real long arms, and he'll get walked back. So I don't understand. I'm not totally getting the let's just throw him in at guard where guys are a lot bigger, a lot stronger, and contact happens faster.
Sure.
I don't know if I buy that so much, but I do buy the concept that he's a better right tackle fit than Penny Sewell would be. That doesn't mean I would take him over Penny Sewell. I would not. But it sounds like Cincinnati does have Slater as offensive tackle 1, and in a scenario where they don't take Jamar Chase to pair with Joe Burrow, Slater could be the pick.
You know what's interesting? One of the things that I found out in doing 50 simulated drafts last night, and it was show prep. Clearly show prep. I knew I was doing this show with Scott, so it was clearly show prep. One of the truths that you find out, and this is where I challenge you to do one yourself. Maybe you're one of those people right now, and Scott, you and I always hear from people, you guys are nuts. The Lions absolutely, positively need that guy at wide receiver. We have to take Chase. Or you guys are nuts. We absolutely, if Sewell's there, we absolutely, positively have to take Sewell. We absolutely, positively need to take a linebacker and everything. The one thing that I found out from doing this exercise last night, Scott, and it's 100% real. The one thing that I found out from doing this exercise is the caliber and the quality of player later on. It was amazing. Some of the guys that I was looking at, like when I got my extra picks in the second round, I'm going, wait, I have a choice of these 3 receivers?
Yeah.
Wait, I moved down to 23. I took Tennessee. Wait a second. I have this linebacker from Tulsa, this linebacker from Tulsa, from Notre Dame, and I have this offensive lineman there. It was amazing how many good players there were there. And that's why I always remind people, the people that lose their mind on, I can't believe we didn't take a wide receiver. there are going to be damn good wide receivers that are taken in the second and the third and the fourth round this year. I mean, it's just that simple.
They're just not going to be premium guys like you could have.
You
at
use the
pick
term
7.
X.
Yes. I mean, Jamar Chase is an alpha, instantly going to be your number one receiver. You might not get that out of a player like Rashad Bateman or Terrace Marshall or some of the other big players. This draft is loaded with slot types, with small, shorter, more explosive types like Rondale Moore, like Elijah Moore from Ole Miss, who I don't.
There's a great one.
Yeah, he's being slept on. I'm not sure. Now, again, if you're taking him in round 2, he's a really nice fit for you, but you're not getting the premium stuff that a player like Jamar Chase or Jalen Waddle gives you. But still, the point is that you're going to find viable options later in the draft, and this is where teams who pick at the end of round 1 always stumble into things. These are the kind of players they pick, guys who are ready to go now. You don't need a total projection on a player that you're taking at the top of the draft because they're ready to go now. We'll see. I think in the end, if we're locked onto a specific position or a specific player, we need to consider what the versatility of having an extra first round pick next year does from them. They already have 2, but grabbing another one puts them firmly in command of the first round if they want to be there. There's other teams that have lots of picks, but if you're in a situation where you have your own pick, what do we think the Lions' pick is going to be this year? I mean, just guess. Top 10?
Yes.
Next year, top 10.
Yes.
So you have a top 10 pick, then you have if you make the trade with the Chargers, is it reasonable to think the Chargers are going to win that division? They're not going to win that division. So they're maybe a wild card team, and maybe they lose in the first round of the playoffs. So then you have pick 20-ish. What do we know about the Rams? You don't know. But having 2 picks in the 20s in your own top 10 pick, you can do whatever you want.
Scott, I was just, honest to goodness, it was like 9, 22, and 28.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. Wait. I get 3 of the top 28 plus whatever additional second round picks.
And that speaks a little bit to some of the smarts about what Brad Holmes did in trading Stafford and acquiring the capital in the future. Is you would hope next year becomes a much more normal year. Mm-hmm. Is it going to be perfectly normal? I don't know. Too much unknown at this point. But you would think that scouting goes back to some sense of normalcy where you do have some scouts going into schools and asking questions and looking into character and all those things where there's more certainty about players. This year, there's not any of that.
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, Scott, one of the things that kind of revealed itself, and if you've listened to Scott and I over the years, whether it be on the radio or on podcasts or even on the Lions Network, the one thing that happens about a month before a draft is we start to hear what teams are thinking. One of the names that jumps out to me, because I'll be honest, I know you and I have talked about it here, and I'll bring up my feelings about it again. Mac Jones is the one that kind of jumps out to me, because was Mac Jones a guy that was probably going to be taken in the first round? Yeah, he was. And I think we talked about it. You could go back and fact check this if you were so inclined. We probably talked about that. But I remember the thing that I said to you when I watched Mac Jones, and I don't have the educated eye that he does. When I watched Mac Jones, I thought to myself, this is a guy that you have to put in a situation almost like Drew Brees in New Orleans, okay? Timing, protect him. He's going to be okay if you do that. I'm not saying he's going to be Drew Brees, but he's going to be okay. Now everybody and their brother thinks that he's going to go not just early, but very early and maybe earmarked to San Francisco.
Yeah, and their system is very quarterback friendly, so I would expect him to be pretty productive in that system if he is the pick. There's very little. Okay, so the players who are being considered in front of him bring a lot more flash and style to the way they play the position. He does not. He's more. In some ways, maybe he deals with pressure a little differently than like a Zach Wilson who wants to scramble but eyes are down the field wanting to attack vertically. Mac Jones doesn't want to. He doesn't want to leave the pocket.
Okay.
He wants to just move little manipulations in the pocket. Nothing like where you see a guy scramble and make a 20, 30-yard throw down the field just because this is off structure, out of the structure of a play. You know what I mean? He doesn't do those kind of things. So there's not a lot of excitement about the way he plays unless you're really dialed into, okay, he deals with pressure pretty well. He doesn't have to escape the pocket to make throws down the field. So I can see where a guy like Kyle Shanahan, whose system is very quarterback friendly, thinking his upside is that we can play him right now. I think thinking that they have Jimmy Garoppolo and keeping him on the roster is a mistake. I don't think that's at all the way that would go. I think after June 1, Jimmy Garoppolo would be looking for work.
Sure.
If it is Mac Jones.
Going back to New England?
Yeah, Chicago, New England, somewhere, right? I mean, you could see that. It's just, I could see where Mac Jones, they view him as more ready than the other players in this draft. And in some ways, they've made Garoppolo work when he's been healthy and he's got them to certain positions. Is he an upgrade over Jimmy Garoppolo? And I would say, yeah, he is. But he's still a rookie. And we're going to get hung up on the concept of how much they gave up to go to pick 3 and how, well, you could have maybe stayed at 12 and maybe he would have been there. But, you know what I'm saying? It's like, Mac Jones is a very fine prospect. He just doesn't offer the flash that the other guys do. I don't think he offers the upside of the other guys either. But I can see Kyle Shanahan thinking the upside's not relevant to the big picture, that he gets us where we need to go now or soon, right? I mean, you don't have to sit. Mac Jones is not a player I think you'd have to sit. Where with Fields, I think he needs to have a little time. I think Trey Lance needs to have a little time, although that's a whole other conversation. I don't think he's quite as raw as most think.
I agree with you. Boy, I
mean, 19-year-old kid being asked to set protections for his offense. There's a lot of one-read type stuff with him, but his ceiling, his upside is huge. I think it's bigger than Mac Jones and bigger than Justin Fields and some of the other players in the draft.
That's the one thing, and I don't know if I've said this line to you. I've said it many times to Joik while we have our daily show, Baligian and Bell. We don't know. I don't know. He doesn't know. Nobody knows what Brad Holmes and his staff think of Trey Lance. I mean, let's play a game of pretend. What if Brad Holmes and his staff say, we love this kid? Maybe he's a little more raw than some of these other guys. That can be debated. But we're not in a position right now where we have to play him this year. And let's be honest, Scott, they're not in a position where they have to play him in 2022.
But they need to have an idea as to what he is in 2022.
Sure.
They do.
Absolutely.
So, the problem with drafting him and not playing him as a rookie is that you'd have 2 first-round picks in 2022 that you don't totally know what to do with them.
Okay.
Right? That's going to be the conundrum there. But you also have 2 in 2023. So I don't think you're taking a quarterback and saying we're sitting him for 2 years, because then you're.
I don't expect it. Let me. Yeah. But
it's not out of the realm.
Yeah, I'm throwing it out there because if you think that that's the guy, then why would you pass him up? That would be my logic.
You should not.
If I'm convinced, if I Scott, you're my top scout, and you come to me and this kid is the real deal, I get where we're at and everything. Okay, well, I'm going to pick him. And you're allowed to do that right now because, guys, again, and I know some of you don't like to hear it, the Lions are in full rebuild mode right now. Like, I have no other way to say that. You can get away with doing that right now.
You have time. I mean, they do. They have time. They have the ability to sit him and let him progress as a player behind Jared Goff for a season. At that point in time, if Lance turns out to be we're making the assumption that they covet Lance, that they really like Lance.
I have no idea.
If that's the case, they would just move away from Goff in a year.
Yeah.
Restructure aside, it doesn't matter.
Do I expect that? No. For what it's worth, I don't expect that.
It'd be really nice to not have to move any assets to get a quarterback of the future.
Yes. I hate myself right now, Scott, for a myriad of reasons. I think the number one reason why I hate myself is because I am allowing not only these algorithms, but I am allowing the situation that the Lions find themselves in to become that guy that you and I usually chastise in years gone by. I'm allowing my brain to think to myself, you know what? I'm not sure the Lions are going to stay at 7. Now, famous last words, I'm going to say it again. I think the Lions would have to really make a concerted effort to kind of screw up the position that they're in right now.
Can I?
Famous last words, but Scott, it's a really good position.
It is a good position, but what if I were to tell you that? What if I were to give you a scenario in which the Lions cannot trade back? There's just no trade back. Penny Sewell is gone. Kyle Pitts is gone. Jamar Chase is gone, and they don't love Jalen Waddle. They're worried about Waddle's size, whatever it is. What are you doing then?
It's a great question.
That's the most likely scenario, is we don't know what the Lions would do in a situation where the guys that we really want them to take are gone. There's no trade back, and it's
a great question.
A player we love in Jalen Waddle. They may go Rashawn Slater in that scenario.
I'm not going to complain too much about that.
Slater could be the
I know
pick.
We talked about that a month ago.
It could be Micah Parsons. We've heard that.
Please,
but that's what I'm saying. So I think it's always best to approach it as the things that we think we want to happen are not going to. Last year was a similar thing. We wanted the Lions to build up interest and get somebody to move up for Herbert or Tua, and they just never put bait in the water.
They screwed that up.
They just never did.
Just did.
So trade downs are more difficult. Talking about them is easy. I'm not saying that you're doing it wrong. I think
that's why I said I hate myself.
Everybody is speculating that the Lions are in position to trade down. Everybody is. There's a reason why that's happening. But that has to make sense for them to come off. You know what I mean? That has 100%. To make sense. So if the scenario exists that the reason why the Lions are being talked about is because there's an expectation that Sewell and Waddle and maybe Pitts or Chase or whatever is available and teams are going to come up for one of those guys, when they're all gone, nobody's coming up.
Yep.
I mean, maybe somebody might come up for Slater, but I'm not sure I'd buy that as much as I'd buy for Sewell.
Could you imagine? And I told you, Patrick Surtain kept going in front.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
But can you imagine that scenario, Scott? And this is why I keep coming back to this. Are you really screwing up if, let's say, you find yourself, because it certainly sounds like you nailed it early on. Give him credit. He won't do it. I'll do it for you. Kyle Pitts is going to be long gone. He isn't going to get past Miami. Okay, great. So you're sitting there at 7. Okay, any second now. Any second. Holy crap, our phone isn't ringing.
Yep.
What the heck is going on? If my fallback is Rashawn Slater, okay.
So Pitts goes 4 to Atlanta. There's no quarterback trade. Right?
Yep.
Chase goes 5 to Cincinnati, and Sewell goes 6 to the Dolphins. And that's the player that, from what I've been told, they liked all along. The Lions are now sitting on the board at pick 7 with Pitts gone, Sewell gone, Chase gone.
It's got to be Rashawn Slater, right?
I mean, I would want it to be Jalen Waddle all day long. But I'm not. I don't know that they love him.
Yeah. See, that's what I had to revisit that because under the assumption that they aren't in love with him. At that point in time, it's got to be Rashawn Slater, right?
Yep, and that's a very boring sort of
who cares
roster building move. But you know, it depends on what do you think the upside of stabilizing the entire right side of the line of scrimmage is for Jared Goff? I think it's kind of important.
Yeah, I think it's kind of important.
That'd be why I'd want them to take Penny Sewell.
Are you now? I have to ask. You have me intrigued because you've said it twice.
Uh-oh.
Is it something that you heard that maybe they aren't as high on Waddle, or is that just something you're throwing out
I think
there?
Waddle
okay,
is...
I wanted to clarify that.
For sure. I think Waddle is the prototype of what they've done in the past for what Holmes has done, you know, in concert with the GM there for Jared Goff. If you compare him to a player like Robert Woods or
I'm a fan.
Cooper Kupp, Van Jefferson, some of these other guys, these are smaller guys who open up very quickly, right? They're really good route runners. They uncover instantly. Now, Waddle's different because he can take the top off of a defense or he can outrun anybody anywhere on the field. He can. I would urge people just to watch his work close to the line of scrimmage. It's ridiculous. So he's different than some of these other players that he's such a home run hitter, but he does uncover quickly, and I think Goff would trust him instantly, because he is going to uncover. So there's trust, there's certainty that he's going to throw him open, but he knows he's going to get to where he needs to get to. And then there's that breakaway home run stuff with him, the yards after catch, which is just, I mean, it is just like thinking about Jalen Waddle as a Lion is so exciting that this is the reason why I'm talking about this, because I'm preparing myself just like I did with Pitts about a month ago, and just like I did with Zach Wilson about 3 months ago, that there was no chance he was going to be a Lion. And as a fan of the Lions, Waddle is such an exciting thought. I just don't expect it.
Here's one of the things we tell people all the time: expect the unexpected. Okay, I'm not sure if that's in play this year at 7. In years gone by, when the Lions were a little bit further, I'll go back 10 years ago, the Nick Fairley deal. I don't think anybody thought Nick Fairley would fall in their lap. Okay, and obviously it didn't work out the way that we wanted. But it was, there was always somebody. In that year, I remember it was Christian Ponder. It was like the Vikings. Wait, what are you doing? You took Christian Ponder? Oh my goodness! Look at Scott. The first 6 picks this year. Okay, here's some more famous last words. I just don't think there's going to be somebody that comes out of nowhere and takes something off the board, so to speak. I just don't see it this year.
Yeah, I mean, there's a trade potential with Atlanta and some, maybe trading down and a quarterback coming off the board at 4, which is great for us because as Lions fans,
wonderful scenario.
It pushes a player to you that just shouldn't be there.
It's a wonderful scenario.
That's kind of something that we should be hoping for.
Yeah,
right? We should hope for. I mean, think about 4 quarterbacks go in the first 4 picks. Okay, somebody is available at 7 who shouldn't be.
Yeah,
it's a great scenario.
Well, and you think about it again, and then you throw in somebody is going to, here's that line again, take a chance on Lance. Okay, it's going to happen, and it's going to happen early. I'm convinced.
It wouldn't stun me if Atlanta took Lance.
Yeah,
he's a perfect fit for what they are, and Matt Ryan's there, so he does have some time to sit. But long term, he's a really nice fit for what they have. And I will tell you that over the next couple days, we're going to start to hear things where things are going to start to gel. I think it's happened a little bit later this year because of the COVID situation
sure.
and the uncertainty of everything. So normally a week out from the draft, there's some pretty solid information that's out there. We're not quite there yet. We're starting to get there. When you see Peter Schrager talk the way he did a couple days ago about the Lions potentially trading out more than once.
I'm glad you saw that.
You're being told that he thinks the Lions are trading at least once. Pay attention.
I'm glad you saw that because I'm not a Schrager fan, and when I heard him talk about it in Good Morning Football, and then I saw his article, and he made a point to say exactly what Scott just said. He said, look, if there's any candidate out there that could fall a couple times, it's the Detroit Lions. And again, this is a connect the dots situation. For all I know, maybe that's what he's doing, but I don't think a guy like Schrager would say that, respect to him, without having some kind of knowledge.
Yeah.
But he's not wrong.
But it's not just him either.
This is a rebuild. This is not a Bob Quinn, Matt Patricia. We have to help this team right now. We have to try to. No. These guys are thinking 2-3 years down the line. Yeah. We're playing a little chess right now.
Yeah. And so the trade back is intriguing because, it's pick 7. It's tough to look at a defensive player and think there's value there. But at pick 13, wide open.
Yeah.
You could take Kwity Paye and think that, all right, he's not going to help us much in year 1, but in year 2, he turns into something a little different. You have the ability to reach on a defensive player and not feel like you're not getting value at pick 7 because you wouldn't get. You know what I mean? You wouldn't. At pick 7, you're not going to get a ton of value if you take a defender. But at pick 13, it opens the door. Makes it tougher for us to kind of prognosticate what we think.
1,000%.
So the further we go away from pick 7, but you grab the future first and let's go from there.
I'm not, we have a couple minutes remaining. I am not going to put you on the spot and say who the Lions select because this year it's very difficult. I'm going to rephrase it this way, okay? And I'm sorry for doing this to you, but I need to do it for this. Do you think the Lions stay at 7?
Probably.
I do too.
Yeah, I think that
I really and truly, I think they end up staying at 7.
It's kind of like me talking about Gal Gadot. And, if I was a younger man and I was in shape and I had a head of hair and I was tall, dark, and handsome and all that stuff, I could probably date her.
She's kind of attractive.
A little bit.
Yeah, she's kind of attractive.
She's on the list.
Yeah.
Have we ever? No, okay.
We should talk about the list someday.
I don't know if anybody else has lists, but can I tell? I can't tell the story.
No.
My wife, Jason Momoa's on her list.
Okay.
I understand it.
He's a very handsome lad.
I don't like the fact that you could draw a line and I would be 180 degrees away from him.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan of that.
He's a very handsome lad.
Handsome feller.
Yeah, he's kind of put together.
But, the point is that I think in my mind that I could talk myself into maybe taking her out here or there, but that's like the whole trade down thing. It's a lot easier to talk about it than to do. So, as much as we think that there's a chance this year, we'll see. What?
Darren McCarty's mauling somebody right there. I don't know if he was Darren McCarty was literally mauling somebody in the room.
We're doing a show in here.
It was funny to watch. So I had to point that out in the remaining moments of this show. All right. So next week we are going to be out at our live draft show. Scott and I will both be on to share our thoughts on how the draft is going.
Yeah, it's going to be
Scott,
fun.
are we going to do this again next week? Do you want to do this again Thursday before
I think
the draft?
we should do a full 2 hours. No, let's do it. Let's do a full 2 hours, and we can tell Joik that running backs don't matter. And
he knows
it'll be fun.
He doesn't like.
He's
to
part of
admit
the problem. He caused the whole thing to happen.
He doesn't like to admit it. That's what it comes down to. All right, we got to get out of here. Thanks to Joe. Thanks to Art. Thank you, most importantly, for checking us out. We'll do it again next week. We'll also do it Thursday night for the Woodward Sports Draft Party. For Scott Bischoff, I'm Sean Baligian saying thanks so much for joining us.